Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. And basically, we've got a whole bunch of news to cover, including some new pre-release promos for the set Temporal Forces. So as always, I would say these pre-release promos are actually pretty good. You know, there has been some stinkers in the past, to be fair, but I think this time round they are pretty good. And hopefully that means that the pre-release kits, when they come out, so pre-release events especially, will be good value. So if you can pick up at least one or two of these promos, you know, depending on how many events you go to, then it should be pretty good overall. So just getting into them, we have For Alligator, which I personally think could be decent. I know some people are very skeptical about this card because it is a stage 2, it is a single prize Pokemon, and any stage 2 that's not Charizard or Gardevoir is basically frowned upon in the game right now because, you know, they can be a bit inconsistent and, you know, fair enough, that's justified. However, what separates this stage 2 from many others is the fact that Great Wave does 160 damage, which is decent, you know, it's like decent damage, KO other stage 2 Pokemon and whatnot. However, it does have the ability Torrent Heart, which says once your turn, you may put 5 damage counters on Feraligatr, and if you do, this Pokemon's attacks do 120 more damage. So note that includes any attacks, so if they ever release a TM in the future that, you know, is a good attack, for example, you could buff that by 120 damage, which is really cool. But it also just means that Great Wave is swinging for 280, which is a big chunk of damage and will KO stuff like Arceus and Giratina. So I think that's fantastic. And then if you get Maximum Belt involved, you can even KO stuff like Charizard. So, well, I think yes. No, yes, of course you can. Yeah, because it goes all the way up to 330. So yeah, you can KO Charizard with a Maximum Belt. So I think that's really cool. It is a single prize Pokemon. I know it's a stage 2, but at least we have Arida to help it be Arida, I guess. To help it be a bit more consistent, we have the Baxcalibur potentially, although that is 2 stage 2s. You could pair this up actually with Palkia, which is I think what some players are doing over in Japan, and just, you know, use Palkia to help pay for the rather awkward attack cost of 2 water, which is, it feels so weird in the game right now to be saying that 2 energy without proper energy ramp is just too awkward and too slow. You know, that's probably not a good sign of the game right now, but either way, the fact that we're losing Raihan does suck quite a lot. You know, if we still had Raihan around, I would say this is, you know, this could like be United Wings level of good. But the fact that it's, you know, it's a stage 2 that doesn't have consistent energy ramp, it is a bit scary in that sense. But, you know, I hope it can be at least a really strong budget deck, at the very least. So yeah, cool pre-release promo. Then we also have this Metang, which looks to be pretty decent in the Dialga V-Star deck. So this Metang allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, choose any number of basic metal energy you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. And then you shuffle the other cards and put them on the bottom of your deck. So yeah, I think a lot of people are going to forget that it's for the bottom, and they'll just shuffle them in, and there'll be prize points lost and all that kind of shenanigans and stuff. So remember to read your cards, people. But yeah, Metang I think is going to be pretty good for metal decks. It's definitely nice for GLC, which is fantastic. That's another thing I would say is these are both pretty good promos for GLC players as well, if you're interested in that sort of thing. So that's cool. But yeah, this Metang definitely really strong for Dialga V-Star. Could potentially make that deck really good again. And depending on when this video comes out, I actually have a Dialga V-Star video ready to go. So hope you all are interested in Dialga, I guess. But yeah, Dialga V-Star, Scizor EX, I think, is another really solid option because it's also discarding Meta Energy from itself. So it's just nice to have a way of ramping energy in the first place. So yeah, I could definitely see this being a pretty solid promo overall and just a pretty good card, really. So yeah, interesting. Next up is we have Koraidon, which is going to be the cornerstone of one of the best single prize decks post-rotation. So for those of you who don't know, Ancient Box is doing pretty well in Japan, and it focuses on 2 Pokemon, this Koraidon and a single prize version of Roaring Moon. Now the Roaring Moon, which I'll have to explain to make this card make more sense, that Roaring Moon for 2 Dark Energy does 70 damage and then 10 more for each ancient card in your discard pile, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you do have this Koraidon, you have the Earthen Vessel, you have the multi-prize versions of those Pokemon, you have like the Ace specs as well that you can choose, you have Sada, which is your main way of ramping energy in the deck. So, you know, there is actually a decent chunk of options to rank up that damage. However, this Koraidon is just really nice in the early game, does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play, That's really good, and it's also really good damage in pre-release settings, where you only have to take like what is it, 4 prize cards, I think, in oh, what's it called? Draft pre-release things, events. It's been so long since I played with like draft rules, but yeah, I think it's 4 prize cards. But either way, 30 damage, feature ancient Pokemon in play. That's not bad, especially when you get in like Mischievous involved. You could quite easily put this deck together, especially if you already have like ancient cards. So yeah, if you're interested in this previous promo and playing that deck overall, then I would suggest picking up some ancient stuff right now while it's still at least moderately cheap, in my opinion. But yeah, still a really cool previous promo. And then last but certainly not least, we're looking at Miraidon, which is basically the cornerstone of the Future Box deck, which is hyped up to be one of the best decks post-rotation. I personally don't think the deck is going to be S tier. I do think it will be good, however, and I don't think it's going to be trash or anything. It's definitely going to be playable. How good it will be, we're just going to have to wait and see, unfortunately. I think there is supposed to be a major Japanese event that's taking place as I speak, like right now. So that could be a good indicator of how this deck will perform in the West, I guess. But, Japan to the West is never one-to-one. It's always been a bit different over here. So future decks could be worse or better. We don't know. But either way, this Miraidon does 40 damage for a single colorless and says search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to your future Pokemon in any way you like. Now, 40 doesn't sound like a lot, and that's like my main issue with these sorts of attacks usually. But the fact that you have Future Boost Capsule, that's plus 20. Then you put an Iron Crowns on your bench, that's another plus 20. So you're at 80 damage, and you can KO most evolving basics. You could even play like another Iron Crown onto the bench to do plus 100. So that's pretty good. Quite scary, to be honest. So yeah, the fact that this can take a prize card as early as turn 1 going second is very scary, and it's also ramping energy to either your Dragon-type Miraidon EX, which is a fantastic card, or perhaps, something like Iron Valiant, maybe an Iron Crown, maybe even an Iron Leaves, potentially. So we've got a lot of choice with this card. It could even be used in conjunction with stuff like Iron Jugglers, is what I'm probably going to be trying out. It's like not a budget deck, but as a rogue single prize deck. But yeah, could be cool. And overall, I think this is just fantastic that this is a previous promo. Like, I know that the Koraidon Ancient box deck is going to be a pretty good deck overall and, really solid. But I do think the future box deck has more potential overall. And thus, this being a promo is just fantastic in my opinion. So yeah, cool to see. If I had to pick a weakest promo, I unfortunately would have to say either Matang or Feraligatr. Probably Feraligatr overall is the weakest. However, if you have to look at this from the perspective of a player who maybe doesn't want to necessarily just play competitive. Maybe they have a sibling or a friend, or maybe themselves, they just want to play a budget deck from time to time. Getting a promo for Alligator isn't terrible, and I'm pretty sure in the pre-release kits anyway, you get another regular version of that same card. I'm pretty sure you do at least. Maybe you don't actually, but from what I remember, I think you used to, if you still don't, but someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong on that front. But yeah, either way, I think Feraligatr will still be a pretty solid budget/rogue deck if you have to play with Palkia, which of course is a bit more expensive. But yeah, I definitely think this is solid. It's probably the worst one here, sadly, just because Matang is powering up Delga V-Star, which is fantastic. But, still, overall, I would definitely rate these previous promos overall. I think this is an easy 9 out of 10 batch for me personally. So yeah, cool to see them. And yeah, I guess if you clicked on this video hoping to see the new artwork for previous promos, I'm sorry, they don't get revealed until the day before they're supposed to come out or something, which is, I think, 2 weeks or so. Is it 2 weeks? Or it might be a month, actually, before the main set releases. So does it say on this article? I don't think it does. No. Okay, that's unfortunate. But yeah, either way, definitely think these will be cool artworks as well. So nice alternate art to look forward to. Then we also have some set news to talk about. Crimson Haze has been officially revealed, and this will be featuring Blood Moon Ursaluna, which was predicted by absolutely everyone. So Crimson Haze has been revealed. We can click on this pack art. Hopefully the video doesn't go blurry. We have Sinstcha over here. Is it called Sinstcha? Sinstcha, it's basically just a riff on Poltergeist, but is basically more cool. Basically, I just like this version so much more. And we also have a new, what's it called? Flapple line. It's now with something called Driplin and Hydrapple. So I think that's really cool. Hydrapple is definitely a really cool Pokemon if you haven't already seen it, but I won't spoil anything if you haven't. So this is the set following Wild Force and Cyber Judge. The first cards won't be revealed until tomorrow. So unfortunately, this video is released, several days after I talk about these new reveals. I am sorry. I do apologize. But basically, these Forest cards won't be revealed until tomorrow. It sucks that they revealed a pack art and then nothing to go with it. You think they would at least reveal one of these 3 Pokemon, but yeah, it's a bit tragic, but we'll have to wait at least a little bit longer until we see those cards. However, as PokeBeach posted before, the set will release on March 22nd, so we are getting close, which we first discovered its trademark listing in September, yada yada yada. As predicted, the set will be headlined by Blood Moon Ursaluna. It will also feature Sinstachur and Diplin. Yes, Diplin. Blood Moon Ursaluna debuted in the Teal Mask DLC last September as a minor character, however, but it is, a zombie bear, so stands to reason why it gets its own set. It's a special form of Ursaluna that does not evolve from Ursaring, unlike the Ursaluna of Hisui, which is relevant because it means it's not going to be like a Stage 1 or Stage 2 EX. It's going to be a basic, so that's cool. Because it means we have a high chance of getting a fighting type that's good, and it means that Garchomp EX could be good. So if this does actually get revealed tomorrow and it ends up being like a really, really good card, it honestly might be worth picking up Garchomps. I'm going to hold off on saying do that until, of course, we've actually seen the card, but if it ends up being good, which I really hope it is, because Blood Moon Ursaluna is just one of the coolest designs for a modern Pokemon. I love the whole Halloween scary aesthetic they went for. It's really cool, so I hope we get something nice. However, it does have an ability called Mind's Eye, which doesn't warrant much hype. It says the Pokemon ignores changes to opponent's evasiveness, its accuracy can't be lowered, and it can hit ghost types with normal fighting type moves. I hope they don't go for something like, this Pokemon gets free retreat when it's in the active spot, or, this Pokemon increases retreat cost to your opponent's active, or, once your turn, you can look at your opponent's hand or something. I really hope they don't go for that. I know it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's a bit boring. It's a bit generic. It doesn't really help the deck out anyway. I just want an ability called Mind's Eye that's really good and helps the card be playable. So hopefully it's good. Also, our Twilight Masquerade, that is the name of the next set. Won't have any Edward Cullen's in the set, but it's the set in May, and it should combine the cards from Crimson Haze and April's unannounced Mask of Change. So it says unannounced, but we know it's called Mask of Change, basically. This means our English set should be headlined by Ogerpon EX and Blood Moon Ursaluna, so Ogerpon is headlining Mask of Change. So we're getting these 2. Hopefully, at least one is playable. At the end of the day, I hope so, because we've had some of these bonus sets in the past from Japan that just haven't really been filled with that much. That's good, and it makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest. But other instances, Japan had I forget what its name was, but it was the one, Ruler of the Black Flame. That was it. It was the one that made up the main cards of Obsidian Flames, and that was really good, had Charizard in it. So I hope this is a similar example where we actually get really cool cards. So yeah, Twilight Masquerade is Crimson Haze plus Mask of Change. That's all you need to remember, basically. Other upcoming sets in Japan include Night Wanderer in June, featuring the Loyal 3, which are the 3 monkeys, 2 monkeys and a bird, that go and steal a mask. No lore spoilers, but they actually do result in a fatality on the human side. I don't know what YouTube's weird rules are for algorithm and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of dark actually. But yeah, the Loyal 3, so they'll probably feature as EX, I'm guessing, and possibly Pertrant, which is a new poison generic crab thing. And I completely fumbled the words there. Stellar Miracle in July or August, featuring Terrapagos. So we're kind of looking at Night Wanderer and Stellar Miracle are going to be our sets for, I guess, when Worlds should be. That's when Obsidian Flames released. So I'm guessing when Worlds is supposed to be, we will see a set release for these guys. And that will be after Twilight Masquerade. So this is for a set that we don't have a clue about, basically. We know we're getting these Pokemon in it, but we don't have a clue about the set name, when it's going to release, and it's going to release in July, August anyway, so I would honestly just kind of forget about this. I mean, these could be really cool cards, of course, but we just don't know what they do. It's going to be a while before we see any of them anyway, so yeah, this is kind of looking into the far, far future. I mean, we're still only in February, for goodness sake. It's a while away yet. But yeah, Twilight Masquerade is more interesting, and I'll explain this why. Twilight Masquerade, and yeah, English, great thing for me. But Twilight Masquerade is important because if they reveal anything soon that is good, that directly counters anything in Temporal Forces or anything that, people might be building for post rotation, then that could affect how expensive cards are. Just saying. So if we get a Blood Moon Ursaluna, for example, that's really good, that could mean Garchomp EX could spike in price post rotation. So even though we're not getting these cards until May, which is way after rotation is in April, I believe, that's still, something worth bearing in mind, basically. If we get good cards, that could affect the prices of other ones. Same for Ogapon, to be honest. Everyone's saying that Charizard's going to be BDF post-rotation. What if Pokemon do the impossible and actually release a broken grass type? I'm not saying they will, they probably won't, but let's just say for theory purposes they do. And Ogapon is broken. Then that means Charizard's going to take a nosedive. It's probably not going to be wiped off the map because Mew VMAX proved that even with a bad weakness, you can still survive in the format. But still, if Ogapon ends up being really good, Charizard might not be BDF post-rotation. Just saying. So, yeah, I would definitely consider that. Although Ogapon is still weak to fire and Charizard can play fire types and all the rest of it. But, still, something to bear in mind. But yeah, that's going to be a roundup of the news today. Hope this video has been informative to at least one person. But yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll hope you see you next time. Thank you for watching.